Hello and welcome to the Burn KC ScorchCast. I am your host, Alex Blackburn, here to bring you the good KC sports news. You may notice the lighting's a little bit different. Unfortunately, my ring light went out on me. I'm trying to get it fixed as we speak, or not really as we speak, because we're not speaking, are we? But we're getting it fixed. I should hopefully have it fixed by next ScorchCast. My sincere apologies for all that. I know the lighting looks pretty rough right now, but bear with me. Hopefully y'all can still hear me okay. And hopefully it's not my whole computer wigging out on me and just the light. But anyway, got a fairly decent show for you. I got a little bit of a headache, so I'm going to try and cruise through this show. Still going to give you all the good KC sports news, though. We've got some big recruiting news for Kansas and Kansas State football, a little bit of soccer news, some Royal news. Obviously, the summer sports are still in full swing. We just watched the Stanley Cup Game 7, so hockey is over, so it's officially summer sports season. We got a few other minor things to wrap up as well. So just kind of bear with me here. I'm trying to power through this headache for you. This heat's getting to me. Our AC broke at my day job, so just, it was terrible. But first ScorchCast in 2 weeks. I wanted to get it done for y'all, and I apologize it's taking this long. But let's get this started. Should be a good one. Strap in and sit tight. Got a good show for you tonight. All right, let's go ahead and get started with some college football news with some recruiting updates. Both Kansas schools are hard at work on the recruiting trail, not just for Lincoln Cure either, the five-star tight end out of Goodland, Kansas. Lincoln visited both Kansas and Kansas State. So we're kind of just waiting on a decision date from him. I don't think he's announced it quite yet. He might have. But from what I've seen, I don't believe he's announced it. He's one of Kansas's first ever five-star recruits. So obviously, really, really important get if one of the Kansas schools can get him. Oregon and Texas A&M are in the running for him as well. So it's going to be a race to the finish, I think. I think he chooses between the two Kansas schools. I like Oregon in that race as well. I've been hearing good things about Oregon. But it's going to be a race between Kansas State and Kansas. Kansas State thinks they got him in the bag. A lot of pundits think that he's probably a Kansas State kid. We'll see. He's been kind of coy about it. I will say that. So, and I also heard a rumor that he got a call from Lance Leipold while he was on a visit to Kansas State, and that did not make Kansas State staff very happy, obviously. But there might be some dirty pool being played, I must say. Anyways, I digress. Like I said, both schools have been busy on the recruiting trail, not just regarding Lincoln. But starting with K-State, the Wildcats acquired wide receiver Adonis Moisey out of IMG Academy, the three-star wide receiver from a big-name school down in Florida. The Cats also acquired three-star linebacker McGuire Richmond, a three-star Kansas kid that fills a big-time position in need for the Cats in 2025. Kansas State wouldn't be done with those two, though, as they got cornerback JoJo Scott out of Victory Christian in Florida, edge Dalton Knapp from All Saints Episcopal in Texas. He was a Kansas target as well, so another Wildcat get over Kansas. Another linebacker in Sawyer Schlick from Kearney, Nebraska, and safety Dominic Mitchell from Brophy College Prep in Arizona. Wildcats really building out their defense over these past couple of weeks. Big time stuff for a team that will need plenty of defensive pieces for their aging core that they have this year. So they're adding youth to that defense, and they're adding talented youth. So be on the lookout for another strong year from the Wildcat defense, maybe in like 2026 or 2027. Probably not right out the get-go. These are still three-star guys. Um, in the end, stars don't matter. Development matters, but who knows? We'll see. Um, Kansas, though, also had a big couple of weeks in recruiting as the Jayhawks brought in a bunch of talent. June 16th turned out to be one heck of a day for the Jayhawks. They added, I believe, 6 recruits over the span of like 2 days. And June 16th was the big one. Kansas added edge Garrett Martin out of Saguaro High School in Scottsdale, keeping that Arizona pipeline wide open. Kansas has been really, really busy in Arizona. They also added edge Adrian Hawley out of Michigan City, linebacker Kenyon Rivera out of Buford, Georgia, defensive lineman Josiah Cheese, that's his nickname, Cheese Hammond from Union in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Union's got a great rugby program, I might add. Just putting that out there. Um, as a rugby guy myself, yeah, Union has a very, very strong rugby program. But I digress. Uh, Kansas also added 8-man, big time 8-man contributor from Axtell, Kansas, Brandon Schmelzel. He is listed in 247 Sports as a 3-star safety, but he can play quarterback, wide receiver, and corner as well. So just all around athlete that Kansas can do just basically whatever with. That's not all though. Kansas also that was just June 16th, I might add. But also that week, they got Pace High School in Milton, Florida, star tight end Joseph Skipworth, wide receiver out of South Gwinnett, Georgia, Jackson Cook, and Blue Valley West product, and son of Chiefs coach Matt Nagy, wide receiver Tate Nagy. All these guys were high 3 stars, much like Kansas State's. So battle for best class is really heating up. As of now, Kansas has the best composite class. That could change at any point, especially if Kansas State ends up getting Lincoln Cure, or if Kansas ends up getting Lincoln Cure. Um, that remains to be seen. And Kansas State really had their hopes up for Michael Boganowski as well, and he ended up committing to Oklahoma. So just we love recruiting. It's there really is no off season for college football because recruiting is such a battleground, and it's so fun to watch these teams, especially if they're part of the same state or are rivals, just go at each other in the recruiting war. And the fact that Kansas is finally competitive in it and isn't getting dominated, you can't really dominate something that's kind of a wet rag that or dumpster fire that Kansas was. But I digress. Shout out to my stepbrother Nick Friesen for that College Football Dogs article. You really put a hard hitting point out there. Anyway, sorry. Um, let's get to soccer news. Let's get to soccer news before I get a little heated regarding in-state recruiting and the sheer just incredible importance of it in the state of Kansas. Let me tell you. I will say this. Kansas is getting more important on the national stage. Guys like Lincoln Cure, Michael Boganowski, and others are making it go upward. For sure. Devin Neal even or Dylan Edwards, those guys, Avery Johnson, those guys are making Kansas high school football. They're putting it into the limelight, which is great, is important. It's no longer, oh, they had Barry Sanders, oh, they had John Riggins, back in the '60s. It's finally relevant in the modern era in regard to high school football recruiting. But finally, let's get to some soccer news. I could go on and on about football recruiting. It's one of my favorite pastimes and has been since I was a freshman in high school. So, um, yeah, if you really want to get me going, ask me about that. Anywho, soccer news. Some good news, some bad news. Uh, I think if you've been paying attention what the good news and what the bad news is. Anyway, all right. Let's do some soccer news. In soccer news, the Currents still sit atop the NWSL standings with a 9-5-0 record and still look to be in top form. The ladies beat the Portland Thorns by a dominant score of 4-1. Labonta, Ballsager, Peterson, and Shawinga all scored goals, with Timwa Shawinga notching another goal toward that coveted Golden Boot award. She currently trails just Sophia Smith and Barbara Banda by one goal. Sophia Smith, part of the Portland Thorns, and I think she got the one goal that Portland got. So a little bit of an unlucky break there for Shawinga, but she would have trailed Banda anyway. Banda is part of the Orlando Pride, who currently trail the Current right now in the NWSL standings, sitting at second place. The ladies play the Houston Dash this Friday in KC, where they look to continue their undefeated season. That was the good news. Let's talk about sporting. For Sporting KC, the things have not been going as well. Three straight losses have the club at a crossroads. They are second to last in the entire MLS, and last place is in their conference. So I guess they're second to last in their conference as well. The last place being the San Jose Earthquakes, which I don't think have really been good since like 2000s, early 2000s. Didn't they have Landon Donovan for a time? I can't remember. I digress. It's the manner in which in which Sporting has lost these games that has concerned Sporting KC faithful the most. 4-2 loss to the LA Galaxy is one thing. They're one of the strongest teams in the West with a ton of talent. Then you give up 4 goals again to Real Salt Lake, who, yes, is second place to the LA Galaxy in the West. But that's a team that, other than St. Louis, is probably your biggest rival. I mean, that's the team that you beat in the MLS Cup, if I remember right, or in the Western Conference Finals. I can't remember. I think it was the Western Conference Finals. Sporting KC may have been part of the East back then. I can't remember for the life of me. We beat Real Salt Lake in those playoffs, and it kind of left a bad taste in their mouths. Understandably so. But you don't even give yourselves a chance to win that game because it ended 4-3, so it was tighter. But you don't even give yourselves a chance to win that game until past the 90th minute when you score that third goal. You had trailed 3-1, then 4-2. You know, it's it's getting old, the lack of defense. Uh, but cream of the crop for Sporting KC is why not have a bad defense, but also have a bad offense? Because you're getting blown out 4-0 by the Columbus Crew, who is the worst of those three teams that you faced. It would be okay if these losses were at least more competitive. But it has seemingly come about that that the SKC defense has all but stopped trying. 12 goals in 3 games is absolutely inexcusable. And unfortunately, the defense has been the story of the season, especially when facing strong sides like the three you just faced. The murmurs of firing Vermees are getting realer by the day. This is not 2013 anymore. His name doesn't carry as much weight. Yeah, you made the playoffs last year by some act of God, but I mean, even last year, you guys were bottom of the league for how long? I mean, it may be time. Times have changed, and if Sporting doesn't change with it, change will be forced. Develop, show effort, defense, defense, defense. Otherwise, probably going to be a bloodbath at the end of the season, with Peter Vermees likely being the first to go. Anyway, on to some Royals news. It's a little better, a little, than the Sporting KC news. They're at least above 500 and at least competing for a playoff spot at the moment. But it's looking a little rough out there. You'll see. All right, we've got some Royals news to attend to and a few minor things before we wrap up. Strap in, sit tight. If you haven't strapped in already, of course. And let's get this knocked out. My head's starting to hurt again. I may need to take another Tylenol. The Royals are on a skid again. They lost second place in the division as well as the second AL wildcard spot to the Twins and have lost 7 of their last 10. Granted, that was a very tough schedule facing the Yankees and Dodgers back to back. Isn't exactly ideal. But when you're losing to the Athletics, that's not good. They also suffered their first sweep of the season against the Rangers in really embarrassing fashion. I think they scored 3 runs that entire 3-game series. Not ideal. Not ideal. You beat the Rangers when they came to Kauffman. We may have even swept the Rangers if I remember right. Did we? Did the Royals sweep the Rangers? I digress. But getting swept in Arlington is not what playoff baseball teams do. Yeah, they won the World Series last year, but they're not that team this year. Baseball's got a lot of parity to it, especially these days. So just you got to beat good teams. And when you can't even sweep the lowly Marlins, even though you had a chance to, and just kind of fumbled it away because you wanted to get into a pitcher's duel with one of the worst rotations in baseball right now, and completely just poo-poo the bed offensively. I mean, 2-1 against the Marlins. Listen. This team has a ton of potential. They just lack consistency. The offense needs to produce at a more consistent rate with players other than Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, and out of all people, Hunter Renfroe in getting butts on bases. They also have a massive reliever problem that has leaked into the starting rotation. Starters are being expected to pitch longer due to little faith in receivers helping leads and holding leads for that matter. And it's starting to affect that production as well. I mean, you got Lugo losing his stride. You got Reagan's doing whatever Reagan's is doing. And Singer, yeah, Michael Wako was injured, but like Singer, and you brought up Daniel Lynch too. Those guys, they need to have more consistency. They're part of the problem. Singer's better than Lynch by a mile, but he's still young and he still needs to develop a little bit more before he can be a regular piece of the starting rotation. Granted, the Royals really don't have a whole lot else, but that's just my 2 cents on it. The main issue though is closer. James MacArthur is not your closer, guys. He's not. He simply is not working for you. He's given up way too many leads, and he just doesn't have the arsenal that a guy like, just speaking about closers from Royals past, Wade Davis, Kelvin Herrera, Greg Holland, I guess HDH in general. But like he's not that. He's not even close to that. And if he can't even give you one good inning, he's not a closer. So it may be time to pull the plug on that experiment. This all being said, Royals are still 7 games above 500, almost halfway through the season, and that is light years where people expected them to be this year. This team has a ton of talent and the innate ability to win with that talent. They just need to master the art of winning, is all. And what better way to do that than to gain some ground in the division by doing well in a massive home series against the first place Cleveland Guardians this upcoming weekend? You've played very, very well at home. It's really only on the road that the Royals kind of don't do all that well. Please win this. But if you if the Royals sweep the Guardians, how about this? If the Royals sweep the Guardians, I will chug mustard. Am I really about to do this? Anything for views, man. Anything for views. I will chug mustard on the ScorchCast if they sweep the Royals. No. Backwards. If the Guardians sweep the Royals, I might also do something, but that remains to be seen. If the Royals sweep the Guardians, we might be killing one of the hot dog racers. Oh man. And that's a game that I could very well be in attendance for. Sarah and I have been talking about potentially going to that game. Haven't gotten tickets yet, so there's no guarantees. But it's a series that I could very well be in attendance for. If I am, I'll let you all know. Come say hi. It's going to be a great one. Hopefully, it's not going to be agonizingly hot. I think they're evening games, I want to say. Late afternoon, evening games, so they shouldn't be too hot. Fingers crossed. but I'll let you know. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with some minor news now. Got a little bit of college basketball news as well as some Blues news. So sit tight. All right. In Blues news, the Blues won second place at the Milwaukee Lakefront Sevens National Qualifier, coming just inches away from a championship in what would have been a huge steps towards qualifying for nationals. That's the only downside to getting second place at these things. I believe it was less than a try difference. I can't remember the score off the top of my head, um, but it was that close um, for a qualifying chance for the Blues. There will be other chances, though. The Blues will be going to Lamont, Illinois to play the Crossover Sevens qualifier this upcoming weekend, hosted by the Chicago Blaze. It will be another key shot at qualifying for nationals, so stay tuned for more. In college basketball news, though, NBA draft is tonight. I know that's not technically college basketball, but uh, when you don't have an NBA team, it is. um, we are currently 8 picks in to the draft right now. Um, no one local has been picked yet so far. The Hawks have selected Zachary Rissache from France. I believe that's how you pronounce it. That was my best French accent impression, whatever you want to call it. I'm sorry, mother. I know you took French for that long. You clearly did not pass it on to your child. Um, then keeping up with the tradition of picking French players, the Washington Wizards selected Alex Sarr. Didn't try to do an accent that time because I mean, it's Alex Sarr. It's what it is. Um, Rockets selected Reed Shepard out of Kentucky. San Antonio Spurs selected Stephon Castle out of UConn. The Detroit Pistons selected Ron Holland II from the G League. Another French pick for the Charlotte Hornets, who selected Tijane Solon. Saloon? I think it's Saloon because there's the 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 Uber dot. I can't remember what it's called. Uh, I should know German better than I know French because I got it shouted at me in elementary school by my father. Um, this isn't a therapy session. um, but I digress. Portland Trailblazers selected Donovan Clingan from UConn. Kansas fans should know him quite well in the fact that we beat him. uh, but the Spurs picked again in pick number 8 or with pick number 8 and selected Rob Dillingham from Kentucky. That leaves the Grizzlies on the clock. I know Johnny Furphy from Kansas is supposedly a lottery pick tonight. I have seen him go to the Kings. I've seen him go to the Thunder. I've seen him go to the Jazz at 10. Um, so he's probably going to be kind of a middle first round guy. Likely going to go probably within the first like 18 picks. So stay tuned for that. McCullough, I think he'll go towards the end of the first round. I know I saw him getting picked up by the Nuggets, the Bucks. Um, I think I saw a couple of picks saying that he was going to go to the Celtics, which would be cool. They just won the championship. And he would be paired with Steve Mikhailuk. So I think that would be pretty cool as a Jayhawk myself. But that's where I'm going to go while I'm editing this. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. That's our show. Thank you so much for joining me here. I've been kind of thinking about what to do with the Burn KC writings. I know I went over this 2 weeks ago. Um, I am really hard at work with college football dogs right now. That's getting to be pretty serious in terms of I'm getting paid for it now. I'm getting credentialed for it. Not saying that I'm going to forget about the Burn KC. I still absolutely want to do the Burn KC, but it may be just a podcast now. I'm going to put out some feelers and see what you guys are feeling regarding that. I don't think I can do the article load anymore. The daily articles, the even the articles three times a week. It's getting to be much. It's getting to be a lot because right now with college football dogs, it's 3 to 5 articles a week for them. So just kind of tough. But I will gauge your guys' thoughts and opinions regarding it. Would love to know them. If you've got a comment for me as well, if you got a comment for me already, but please participate. Let me know what you should. Let me know how I should go about it. This is in the end a community that I've kind of built, and I appreciate you being here. So please, 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 let your thoughts be known. That's our show, though. Have a great night. And as always, hashtag burn it down.